You know, I get a lot of questions and a lot of PMs on here and stuff asking me, oh, I want to start dipping, but I'm not sure what to try and all this shit. Well, this is Joey Leds' guide on how to start dipping. Whoa! That's right, I'm sure it's been done before, but I figured I'd make my own video on how to start dipping and how to dip, and just tips on when you first start dipping, because, you know, as dippers, we've all been there before, and I kind of wanted to share what I think is the best way to start. First of all, you got to know your risks. Obviously, tobacco's not good for you, but if you want to start using tobacco, if I were you, I'd start using smokeless tobacco over cigarettes or cigars, because even though it still causes cancer and it says not a safe alternative to cigarettes, it is not a safe alternative, but it is a safer alternative. You know, it might fuck with your gums and stuff, but it doesn't mess with your respiratory system like smoking does. I am a smoker myself, so I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say don't start smoking, but give smokeless tobacco a try first. Second of all, you need to know the difference between chewing tobacco and dipping tobacco. This is dipping tobacco. A common misconception among people who don't use smokeless tobacco think this is chewing tobacco. This is not. Chewing tobacco comes in a pouch such as this. It is empty now, and you take it and you actually gnaw on it with your teeth. That's out of the equation right now. We're not talking about that stuff. We're talking about dipping tobacco. Okay, so it comes in a tin, as you can see. First of all, what type to buy? As a beginner, you're not going to want to start out with Copenhagen or Grizzly. Different brands of tobacco have different amounts of nicotine, and if, you know, for your first dip you take a lip of Copenhagen or Grizzly, it's going to knock you off your ass. It could even make you to the point where you're nauseous or throwing up. It's definitely not going to be a pleasant experience. What you're going to want to start with is Skoal. I'd say any Skoal fruit flavor besides berry. Even though berry is a fruit flavor, it actually has a high amount of nicotine. I'd say my first fruit dip was Skoal cherry. I'd say either Skoal cherry, Skoal peach, Skoal apple. Those kind of flavors are definitely the best beginners. Don't start with anything else. Start with those, you know, flavors and those kind of things. Or Kayak. Kayak's another good starter because that has like even less nicotine than Skoal. It comes in grape, apple, peach. Kayak or Skoal fruit flavors. Second of all, the tin. When you get a tin, it's going to have, you know, the label here. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your nail and you're going to want to crack it along where the metal lid, you know, stops, and it starts with the bottom of the can. Sorry, I can't think right now. And if you always want to have a thumbnail. I just have a little one, but if you don't, you can just get a knife or something. Who's gonna know? Just don't tell anybody. Once you crack the tin, open it up, and I have dipped a bit out of this already, but take a whiff and see. You know, kind of get the smell of it, kind of get, you know, the hang of how it smells, because it pretty much smells like it tastes. Pretty much. And if you smell it and you're like, ugh, you know, give it a try, but, you know, maybe try a different dip after that. Because usually if you smell a dip and it's like, then you're not going to like it. At least from my experience. Not all dips. There's a couple exceptions like Grizzly Wintergreen or whatever, but you know. Next, you're going to want to learn how to pack the tin. I remember it took me a while to get the gist of it. Now, if you have friends who dip or you're around people who dip, a lot of them pack like this. They hold the tin like this, and they do it like that. And you can do it that way, but I find it more sufficient to hold it like this and pack it on the side. But you can still do it like this. I found that easier as a beginner, and then, you know, as you get more coordinated with your packing skills, you can do it on the side better. So essentially, when you start, what you're going to want to do is wrap your middle finger and your thumb around the tin. And you're just going to want to hold it like that. I was holding it way out here, and I was like, oh, whoops, something's wrong. And you're going to want to hold it, and all you're going to do is you're going to move your hand like that and just smack this finger on the top of the lid. It takes a little practice to get it. You'll get it eventually. And if you open it up, you can see it packs it decently, but what I find, you know, once you get more skilled at that, hold it like this with your middle and finger and thumb again, but hold it in the center like that. And what I do is I kind of put the ring finger just holding here, and then I put the pinky finger underneath, kind of supporting it, and pretty much do the same thing except try to hit it on the side. Now, you have less surface here to cover, so it's a little bit trickier. But once you get the hang of it, I find this is more sufficient to pack your tobacco. Also, the reason you do pack your tobacco, I remember when I first started dipping, I was like, why do you do that? Why can't you just grab a chunk and put it in? Because essentially, what you want your dip, you want it to clump together so when you grab it, you know, it doesn't fall apart on you. Because if you don't pack it and you just grab a bunch and put it in your lip, it's going to fall apart and all the particles are going to trail all over your mouth and it's gross. But when you do this, they pack together and they clump together and they stay clumped together. Next, you'll want to grab a pinch. Now, even if you are starting with Skoal fruit flavors, you're not going to want to take a huge ass pinch. You know, you're not going to want to fucking take like a friggin', you know, even though that isn't huge, you're going to want to start with little pinches. Little tiny pinches, and you know, as you build an immunity to the nicotine, you're going to want to build your way up. Because even Skoal Cherry, I remember like a year ago, my friend Ryan, maybe 2 years ago now, time's flying, 2012, woo! Was over, and we were watching a movie, and he tried Skoal Cherry for the first time, and he puked like hell. Thank God I had a bucket in my room. Anyways, you are going to want to, you know, take little pinches now. I've been dipping for over 2 years now, and I also smoke cigars, so I have quite an immunity, but see how it packs it much neater when you pack it on the side, I find. Now, locating where to put it in your lip. Most beginners put it in the middle here. You really don't want to do that. It doesn't really stay secure. I find like right around here on either side there's a more sufficient place to place your dip, but if you just want to start by putting it in the middle, just do that. Also, don't people aren't going to respect you if you pull your lip down and then put it in. What you're going to want to do, and you might do that at first, but you're just going to want to stick it in there and then arrange it with your tongue. You have tongues for a reason. This isn't the reason, but this is a advantage to having a tongue. Imagine what it'd be like if we didn't have tongues. It'd be like a tipsy-topsy fucking fuckhole of fucks. It'd be a clusterfuck. So just pack it down with your tongue until you kind of get all those clumps together, and then any excess ones just spit out. Now I find, you know, when I first started dipping, I continuously sucked on the dip. And like I just sucked it all out before the dip was over. Don't, you know, you can suck on it a little bit, but don't continuously, you know, suck on it, because quite frankly, that's going to make the dip dry out faster. I find just kind of chill out for a few and just kind of let your mouth fill up, and then once it's filled, give it a suck and then spit. So just try around with a few dips, you know, try starting with the fruit flavors, and if you don't like them, try some other flavors, and then once you get an immunity, just kind of, you know, try a little bit of everything, and quite frankly, if you don't find anything you like, I don't think you're going to like it, because dip's the kind of thing that either you like it or you hate it, I find, personally. So once you stop getting spit, once it stops making spit and it kind of starts to fall apart, that's when you know that the lip's over and you're going to take it out. And, you know, rinse it out with water or whatever. Just rinse your mouth out, get all those particles out. Make sure you floss and brush your teeth. I always do. And I wanted to set this aside for last, because this isn't really for dipping as much as it is for dipping videos. A lot of people ask me, hey Joey, how do I get big on here? And people look at me like I'm a big dipper. I mean, I have 800 subscribers, and I'm very, you know, thankful to have every single one of them. But I don't really feel like I'm that big a dipper. You know, we have Outlaw, Cajun Tiger, we have all these great dippers. I don't even think I can compare to them. But people think I make great videos, and I really appreciate it, and I really don't. The best advice I can give to you is just try to have some people that, you know, have a good amount of subscribers just kind of give you a shout out and just kind of build up. I got lucky because I got Cajun Tiger to give me a shout out in one of his videos. Now don't go be asking people like Outlaw for shout outs, they're not going to do it. You have to make good videos in order to get a shout out from someone that big. Otherwise, just ask people who are kind of in the middle region for shout outs. But first of all, you know, don't come on camera and, you know, talk all quiet like this. Don't be camera shy, because I used to have an account where, you know, they sucked. I was all camera shy and I would talk quiet like this, and, you know, I was all nervous. I find just be yourself. Don't be camera shy, you know. Don't hold back. Just act how you act. Be hyper, like I am. You know, I might be a bit of a fucknut, but people like me for that. People find it humorous. Just be yourself. Try to add some humor into it. You know, don't just come on camera and have music blaring in the background and you have shitty audio and a shitty webcam and you don't even edit it. Make sure you get into the editing and stuff. I think that was one of the biggest mistakes I made, was waiting on that, because if you look back on some of my older reviews, you'll see how shitty they were. And I've greatly improved since. And once I did improve and start editing, that's when I started getting more subscribers. That's when Cajun Tiger, we started talking and he gave me the shout out. You're going to want to just kind of work with things and figure things out. But that has been this video on how to dip and how to make YouTube videos on dipping, or tips I should say. I hope you enjoyed for any of you beginners. Anyways, keep dipping and spitting. I stuttered there for a second. Ha ha! Take care, everyone.